I'm Marty Cohn, and welcome to PR Benefits, a show that explores the role of public relations in the COVID-19 era. I've been a PR practitioner for over 45 years, helping a wide array of organizations successfully communicate their messages to targeted audiences. I mistakenly thought that 9/11 would be the watershed event in my lifetime. Communicating in the aftermath of that tragic event was challenging. Then came the global economic downturn in 2008 with more lessons in crisis communications. However, 12 years later, we have the coronavirus pandemic and new challenges in uncharted waters have emerged. My guest today is Jennifer Bisbee, founder of Bisbee and Company Public Relations in Orlando, Florida. Over the course of her 30-year career as a PR integrated marketing communications professional, Jennifer has served some of America's leading corporations and consumer brands, including, get ready for this list, the Walt Disney Company, NBC Universal, Feld Entertainment, that's Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, Disney on Ice, Monster Jam, Cirque du Soleil, Nickelodeon, SeaWorld of Florida, AT&T, Tupperware, Carvel Ice Cream, Wally, love them, Tiffany and Company, Nike, Intel, Frito-Lay, Lens Crafters, and Hyatt Hotels. Whoa, some of my favorites.
I've been busy.
Jennifer specializes in brand launches, media relations, social media, digital integration, business to consumer and business to business communications, and issues management, crisis communications. Prior to founding her firm in 1995, she worked for BBDO Worldwide in Boston and for regional and boutique firms in Chicago, Tampa, and Orlando. She also served as director of PR for Hyatt Regency Tampa, marketed an international design firm based in Boston, and began her career in broadcast production at Chicago NBC affiliate WMAQ-TV. An active accredited member of PRSA, she's a past president of the Central Florida chapter and is a member of PRSA's Independent Practitioners Alliance. In addition to all of that and running her business, Jennifer is executive producer of What You Know, a full-length feature documentary, now in production, about Hugh Shaw, a towering surfer who tragically died 2 weeks before college graduation in 1983. Jennifer's motto is once a client, forever a friend. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hey, Marty, thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege to be part of your conversation. It's always great to speak to a fellow practitioner about what's going on in our world right now.
And I like to give those introductions because when I say I'm talking to seasoned PR people, I am talking to seasoned PR people, who, in your case, who started out when she was 16.
Right. I like to say I've got the bumps and bruises to prove it.
Anyway, so so I just rattled off a lot of their highlights, but how did you get started in public relations?
I love that question, especially when it comes from young professionals too, because it's a difficult and attractive profession, and it's a difficult profession to break into because it looks so glamorous, and it does have its benefits. But I actually wanted to be a film and television producer.
Wow.
And that stint at NBC in Chicago was great. But did you ever see The Devil Wore Prada?
Yes.
Well, I worked for that boss at NBC. And so I quickly changed course. I had the benefit of working with some PR firms on the show I was working on, and really didn't understand the role of a PR professional back in the day. There weren't a whole lot of courses in PR. And so long story short, that's how I fell into it. And I really found that it was a great intersection of my skills and insatiable curiosity. I had strong writing skills. And so once I started out there, that's kind of how I fell into it, just kind of out in the back door.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So what I'm interested in, I kind of break things down a little bit, but so pre-COVID-19, so which is only a couple of months ago. What were some of the highlights of your career pre-COVID-19?
It was really amazing to have the opportunity to work in a variety of different agency formats. Most of my career has been spent on the agency side of the business, except for that stint with Hyatt Hotels. So I worked for a big international agencies and small boutique firms. And the agency that I worked for before my own, I had the chance to be part of the opening of the first Universal Studios park in Orlando. And
Whoa.
that was an amazing experience because on grand opening day, the rides didn't work. So it went from this amazing grand opening to a crisis communications situation. And it took about a year for that to turn around. So that was amazing. I worked on a Silver Anvil award-winning grand opening of the Astronauts Memorial on kind of the other side of the fence, something far more serious. There were a lot of really rewarding kind of milestones, but starting my own consulting practice 25 years ago, I would say has really been the biggest highlight of my career. Marty, it was the intersection of home office automation, having small children, needing to be the master of my own schedule, and also recognizing that PR services can be delivered independently. And so those factors converged. I started my business, and I've been very blessed to have been rolling now for 25 years. And like the virtual world really kind of caught up with me. I had the tools back in the day, and I was fortunate. Now I find myself a work from home expert in a lot of ways because I've been doing it for so long.
Right. All right. Well, so now segue to current days. So what are you doing for your clients during COVID-19?
You know, it's really been, I would never want to diminish the pain and the hardship and the sorrow of what's going on out there. It's really been tough, but it has been a rewarding time to be able to use all of the skills I've accumulated in 35 years and apply them really at this pinnacle of time. As you probably have been doing too, Marty, there's been a lot of crisis communications and issues management. And at the beginning of this crisis in early March, a lot of issues management, writing a lot of content, statements over and over again, frankly, as the situation unfolded, monitoring the situation. So being that foot outside the organization that had the time to counsel our clients on what's going on now, what are their peers in the industry doing, what are best practices, because they were putting out the fire so we could help them kind of scan the horizon. And as we kind of pivoted, everybody's favorite word now, from the immediate crisis of everything shutting, we then counseled our clients on what can we do to we're shut down, but what else can we do? What else can we communicate? Because staying in communication with your target audiences is so important. And we have the tools to do that now that we didn't have 25 or 30 years ago with social media and owned media. So we've been doing things like connecting them to social services agencies that need support. We did a Zoom Christmas in April event for a coffee client, and that benefited the local food bank.
Right.
We've been delivering coffee to frontline workers or to radio station hosts, anything that we could do to help our client connect back into the community. And now it's interesting, as the economy is reopening, the kind of communications that we're like pulling out the statements again, updating the communication. So what we're doing for our clients has really kind of followed the course of this unfolding crisis. And I wanted to add that social media has just been an incredible benefit to our clients so that they can communicate directly to their audiences,
Right.
what they're doing and help them, because the media are so stretched thin. I don't know if you found that to be true, but it's just to rely on the media, who themselves are sheltering in place for their own safety, to deliver our message just isn't sufficient.
Right. And I think that's one of my biggest concerns is, having done this for as long, I love newspapers. I've always loved newspapers. I love to hold a newspaper. Yes, I do read it online, but
Right.
I love newspapers. And my concern is, what we're seeing, by the time I walk from my house down to pick up my newspaper and back, I've read the newspaper.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so thin, and I'm worried about that. That's being taken away as a communication channel.
It is. It's a,
You
you
know,
know, it's interesting because it's like the future that we always as PR professionals like to prognosticate, right? We're trained to think ahead, and the future I think that we all imagine maybe 10, 20, 30 years from now is being forced upon us immediately.
right.
And there's such a thirst for information and such a clutter of messaging that, how do you help your organizations break through that clutter has never been more challenging.
Exactly. So that leads me to the next question, which is there is going to be a point where we're going to emerge. What do you think is going to be the role of PR as we begin what has been lovingly called the new normal?
I heard it called the next normal today, by the way, which is an
Oh,
interesting thing to wrap your brain around. You
okay.
know, I gave some thought to that, and then I remembered that, and I'm not going to read the whole statement to you, but the president or the chairman of the Public Relations Society of America sent a letter out to all the members in April. And
Right.
the headline said, "This is our time to lead." And that really hit home with me. I really believe that we continue to be, this kind of role of helping our clients communicate concisely, truthfully, transparently. That's never changed. That's always been our role, but there's never been a more important time for us to help our clients lead the conversation and guide, truthful communication.
Right.
And
Right.
there's just so much misinformation. I really think that's our role.
I couldn't agree with you more. Do you think that there is any kind of an increased appreciation for what we do amongst CEOs and business owners, especially after going through all of this?
Absolutely. I think that a lot of our clients, and our clients are across the spectrum, they're from, edgy kind of startup entrepreneurs all the way to the big companies, like you mentioned. Obviously, the larger organizations are a little more sophisticated in understanding the role of PR, but even in our mid-size and smaller clients, they're like, wow, the value that you have been bringing, not just me, myself personally, but just all of us together. I 100% agree with you that I think it's pulling the curtain back, that we're not trying to spin news. We're not trying to somehow adjust the facts. In fact, that's against our code of ethics. We're really helping our clients recognize what their true missions are and how to get that across.
And I think that what I'm optimistic about is that I think people are going to be very receptive to hearing those suggestions, whereas before it was kind of cluttered and there was there's no we've got to advertise or push. No, let's reflect a little bit. Let's take a moment, and I think that's that's what I think this whole COVID thing has given us, is a chance to take a breath here.
Exactly.
This is a real good chance to re-steer the ship.
No doubt. It's a silver lining. I read an art. I don't know if we have any more time, but I saw an article that came across my desk from my computer on Forbes magazine about silver linings. And again, I wouldn't want to diminish anybody's pain, but for me, the silver lining has been that pause. As a business owner, we never have enough time to do all the things that we want to do. And I'm very passionate about self-care, among other things. We just put everybody first, and we're going 100 miles an hour, and there's the 24/7 365 news cycle. There's no such thing as a deadline, right? It's all now.
Right.
So the silver lining, and I've been sharing this with my colleagues, is that it's giving us a chance to work on those projects that have been on the back burner, learn new technologies, right? Can teach old dogs new tricks. And I've been upping my business development game by learning some of this new business development software, and also self-care, and helping others, using what I know to help others, and taking the time to, it's not like I'm going to the spa, but necessarily like taking a breath, having a moment to think, right? We're always being asked for answers, but to have just 5 minutes to dial it down, I think I hope is a lesson that can stick. And the film that I'm producing, coincidentally, is about how can we be more mindful. At its core, what Hugh knew, one of the things he knew, is how to be present. And ironically, we can't hug on each other. We can't be present right now. And in this digital age, it's gotten a lot harder to not be distracted by the shiny new toys around us, including
Right.
our phones. But I hope, it's my hope that on the other side, so to speak, that we will all maybe appreciate more the value of attention and of being more present.
Well, I'll tell you this, Jennifer, is that in 1978, February of 1978, there was a blizzard in Massachusetts. And the governor came on, Governor Mike Dukakis came on air, and he said, all non-essential person had to stay home. And that's when I realized I was non-essential. And it kind of put things, here it is, 20, 30 years later, kind of puts things in perspective in terms of, we're not on the first responders front line. What we're doing is important. I'm not diminishing that at all, but it kind of, takes a moment to just stop, reflect, think, and come up with credible plans that will benefit not only our clients, but also ourselves. And
Absolutely.
that's what I think comes out of
Well,
this.
what a great lesson for you to have learned early in your career. That's great.
Yeah. Well, yes, I remember it all too well, and it just keeps coming up.
Don't we all?
Keeps coming up. Well, Jennifer Bisbee, founder of Bisbee and Company Public Relations in Orlando, Florida. Thank you so much for coming
Marty,
on
thank you.
PR Benefits. And Jennifer, most importantly, stay healthy.
I will. And same to you, Marty.
All right.